If you needed a reason to laugh on your day before the weekend ends, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The Liberal Party is crumbling, or at least it's about to. Will anything happen from it? Absolutely not. But that doesn't mean that we, as those on the other side watching the country go down in flames, can't notice and have a laugh at their expense. It's always good to point this out, anyways, because when we move along the uh, trend of corruption, we'll say, in this country, it's very apparent that our leaders really just don't care about us anymore. Our MPs don't represent us anymore. Your votes mean nothing. That's already been expressed heavily in our political system. And I want to talk about that a little more and then show you an epic fail on the government's behalf. You stick with me. You're going to love it. You're absolutely going to love it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments about floor crossers, by the way. If they should have by-elections. Marilyn Gladu, who crossed the floor for the Conservatives, and the rat she is, used to pitch that, hey, by-elections should happen if people cross the floors. Too bad she doesn't lead by example. She's now been caught in a potential criminal bribery scandal over floor crossing, or a pork barreling, as they call it, for projects. So it goes on to say, Marilyn Gladu crossed the floor from the Conservative Party to Liberal caucus. We already know this. This move brought Prime Minister Mark Carney one seat closer to a functional majority in the House of Commons, which now he has his illegitimate majority government. And what I mean by illegitimate is nobody elected it. Nobody voted for it. It was created strictly by moves like this. Hours after the announcement, Gladu told a local reporter in Sarnia she had received a call from the office of the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure. The purpose of the call was to discuss all things the riding of Sarnia-Lambton needed. She stated that her previous request for funding had gone nowhere while she remained on the opposition benches. She sent a one-page list of projects to the minister after her 2025 re-election. Those projects aligned with his file, but produced no results until she switched parties. So she mentioned this before, where she had said that she crossed the floor strictly because roads needed to get built in Sarnia, and that this was the only way things were going to get done. And this aligns with Military Barbie coming out and saying that, hey, if you want funding, you have to vote Liberal. Right? Melanie Joly stated it last week. However, Section 119 of the Criminal Code of Canada addresses bribery of judicial officers and others, including members of Parliament. The law states that everyone is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 14 years, who, being the holder of a judicial office or being a member of Parliament or of the legislature of province, directly or indirectly corrupts, accepts, obtains, agrees to accept, or attempts to obtain for themselves or another person any money, valuable consideration, office, place, or employment in respect of anything done or omitted or to be done or omitted by them in their official capacity. The same section also makes it an offense for anyone who directly or indirectly corruptly gives or offers to such a person or to anyone for the benefit of that person any money, valuable consideration, office, place, or employment in respect of anything done or omitted to be done or omitted by that person in their official capacity. Meaning you can't go to them and say, if you cross the floor, we're going to fix your roads and your constituent. We're going to make sure that your riding is looked after. Now, keep in mind as I report on this, folks, this is merely just to give you a little bit of taste of what's happening in the background, what people are noticing, but it doesn't mean that anything's going to happen. In fact, we already know nothing will happen. When you look at Trudeau in his last 10 years of SNC-Lavalins, his Arrive scandal, all of this, nothing happens. They never get arrested. They claim parliamentary privilege. They say, oh, I didn't really understand what I was being asked. They play stupid. But this still shows that people are noticing. In this situation, the timing raises serious questions under the law. Gladu herself connected the lack of progress on her riding projects to her status as an opposition member. So this is where Mark Carney might have buyer's remorse. She's not exactly socially inclined to know when to shut up. She noted that it's harder to get the funding when not on the government benches. She observed that after she crossed the floor, the call from the minister's office arrived immediately. Federal funding for infrastructure, housing, and local projects qualifies as valuable consideration that benefits the riding and the member politically. If the prospect of promise of accelerated access to such funds influenced her decision to change her official capacity from opposition critic to government supporter, then the elements of corrupt acceptance or offering could apply. However, again, you know for a fact that's not going to happen. Now, it says the cabinet denied any pork barreling. Again, that's the term used for it. when opposition members raised the issue in the House of Commons. Gladu later described the floor crossing as the best thing for her riding, for the country, and for herself during the Liberal National Convention. She'd previously supported calls for mandatory by-elections when members switched parties. Local reaction in the historically conservative riding of Sarnia included protests outside of her constituency office and public expressions of betrayal. There were a lot of people also saying they wanted their donations back that they gave to the Conservative Party. Sarnia's mayor urged a by-election to let voters decide. Gladu maintained that no explicit offer was made, but her own words tied improved government support directly to her new status on the government side. So again, she's pretty much outed them without having to come out and say it out loud. The quiet part's being said out loud. It says here, the Gladu situation highlights how concentrated power over billions in discretionary spending invites questions about accountability. Her constituents and the broader public deserve full disclosure of all communications between her office and the minister's office regarding projects before and after April 8th. The problem here is you don't need to do that. Melanie Joly already came out and said, yeah, if you want funding, you have to be on the winning team. But what's funny is that this is going to affect the Liberals. Gladu will not get a second sit. It doesn't matter how many roads get built in her constituency. It is a long-term conservative riding. Nobody's switching teams anytime soon. So she's as good as gone when the next election comes around. But we have to talk about Wayne Long. If you guys don't know who Wayne Long is, this is the biggest epic fail of the government. And one that I had to point out today, and here's something worth of a laugh for you guys. He stood in the House of Commons last week and said that the Liberals could count, that they could do math. And he made an analogy where he compared counting numbers to handling the puck on the ice like Conor McGregor. Now, if you don't know the joke behind that, Conor McGregor is a UFC fighter. I think what he was doing was he was talking about Connor McDavid from the Edmonton Oilers. But he slipped and said Conor McGregor. Everybody had a laugh. Now they put this pompous idiot in a news conference with Vashi to talk about the new Liberal grocery rebate, to make it sound like everything's wonderful, everything's going along with the Liberals. And you'll know that when Pierre Poilievre goes to the grocery store, he actually does his press conferences there. He stands out. He's willing to take questions. He's willing to book things out. Mark Nixon posted this. WTF is happening here? After face planting in the House of Commons, mainstream media is having Wayne Long pitching affordability to Canadians. The post goes on, but what I noticed was I'm almost certain Wayne is standing in front of a green screen. Look at the shoulders and the edge of his jacket when he's swaying. If this is true, this means the Liberals inserted a grocery store soundtrack and put this clown in a studio to lie to them on national television. Now, I don't want to do anything without context, so let's take a look. And I want you to see, like, we're not going to run the video in this image, but I want you to take a look here. I'll run a portion of it so you can see what I'm saying. When you look at Vashi in her studio, you can tell that this is a false backdrop. Like a canvas. You can see there's no sharp outline between her clothing and the backdrop. If you look over here at Wayne, well, you can see the very detailed line along his jacket here, as well as his hair. And I know you can't see it at the top, but every little hair at the top is perfectly defined. And I know with cameras, you can do a blurring effect. I could do a blurring effect of the studio behind me when doing this. But watch as he moves. Watch his shoulders here and here while I play a few seconds of this clip. And just watch how sharp it is when he moves. That we're under the belief that this is a green screen. So take a look.
3 weeks ago, the Prime Minister in question period said about Canada, affordability is the best it's been in over a decade. Do you know anybody who feels that way?
I mean, Vashi, I think that we all know, we're all MPs from coast to coast to coast understand that affordability is a challenge. I don't think that, if you go back to the COVID times when inflation went, prices rose with it. Inflation's come down, obviously, within targeted numbers, but prices haven't come down. So, we know Canadians are feeling the pinch.
Okay, so I'll play the rest of the video, but do you notice how sharp it is around him compared to the background? If I go back to the main post, you can see it's harder to see on this screen because of the way that it all lines up with our video at the top of his head. But when it was full screen, every little hair on his head up here, you can see perfectly. And then it's blurred in the background. So I did a little digging. Even Mark Nixon, by the way, says, I think you're right. That he was, in fact, standing in front of a green screen. People are going to say, Fringe, what are you getting at? What's the point here? What's the big deal about it? The big deal is that Pierre Poilievre goes to grocery stores to do his content. He has no problem. Somebody pointed out, oh, he did this. It was on his Instagram account. And somebody says that's not even the same store. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. I asked Grok. Grok confirms Wayne is most definitely standing in front of a green screen. The Liberals took the time to insert a soundtrack from a store and lie to Canadians. So while this interview goes on, and I'll play it really quick. I'll play it for you really quick. Listen as it goes on. Listen to the sound effects. You can hear a cash register going off. You can hear carts clanging, which means they went out of their way to put in a track to have him in a store, if true. I'm going to say if true, because if somebody does bring out some significant proof that he was in fact in the store, I'll accept that. But when you look at how sharp of an image it is around here compared to the background, this isn't how things normally work. Just take a listen to the sound effects.
And I think it's incumbent on us as a government to act. I mean, as you know, we recently announced the groceries and essentials benefit that will put up to $1,400 in the pockets of working families this year. $1,250 per year for the next 4 years after that. So, we recognize there is an affordability gap, and we're taking measures to help Canadians with making life more affordable.
And I certainly.
You guys hear the cash register beeping in the background? Well, they stand there and talk about how much more affordable it's going to get for you. Oh, we're giving hundreds of dollars back to eligible Canadians, by the way. It's not a lot of people are going to be eligible from what I understand. So here's what I said. They can't even go to a store to push their propaganda and address their constituents. Talk about desperate. Below is what Grok confirmed. So I asked Grok, I sent the clip to Grok and said, listen, you're able to pull out AI. You're able to determine different things. Are you able to determine if this guy is standing in front of a green screen? Grok said, yes. It appears the guy, Wayne Long, is standing in front of a green screen or chroma key backdrop with a grocery store video composited behind him. This is a split-screen remote interview from CTV's Western Period. The anchor is in studio on the left. Wayne Long is on the right, or full screen in some shots, against what looks like a grocery aisle in Vaughan, Ontario, complete with shelves of products, overhead signs, meat produce displays, and people walking in the background. Key visuals indicators from the video frames sampled across 3 minutes and 41 seconds of the clip that point to the green screen compositing. Edge and resolution mismatch. The outline around his shoulders, jacket, and head is unusually sharp and crisp compared to the softer, more natural depth and focus in the background and shelves and people. This is a classic tell when keying a subject onto separate footage. No physical interaction with the environment. He stands relatively still in one spot while talking with no reaching, touching shelves, or movement that would interact with the aisle around him. The background video plays independently. People walk by at various points in different frames. Lighting and parallax consistency. His lighting and shadows match the audio style key lighting more that they'd naturally blend into the store's fluorescent overheads if they were really standing there. So again, similar to how Vashi sits with her set in the background. The background has its own fixed camera perspective with no parallax shift tied to his slight swaying or head movements. Production context. This is standard TV practice for remote guests, especially politicians doing quick hits on topics like affordability. They film in a studio or a green screen setup and drop in irrelevant B-roll footage, here a grocery store, to make it visually engaging. The lower third graphic even labels the location as Vaughan, Ontario, which fits the composited backdrop. The video quality is high, clean keying, no obvious green spill or halo in most shots, which is why it looks convincing at a glance. But the edge artifacts and resolution difference become noticeable on closer inspection. Exactly as you and others in the thread have pointed out, this matches what you suspected in the post. The Liberals or the network likely added the grocery store soundtrack and visuals in post to sell the in the aisles affordability pitch. It's not illegal or anything, just a common TV trick that feels extra on the nose here. And down below, when I pointed out that Grok pointed it out, again, you're welcome. Standard remote TV setup, green screen plus B-roll grocery footage for visual context and a split screen interview. The edge halos, no interaction with the shelves and independent background motions are the tells, not illegal, but it stands staged when the topic is affordability in stores, production choice, not on location. Now you'll see downstairs they tried to the Albozos came in trying to say, hey, this is real. He was actually there. It was on his Instagram. I don't believe it. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious that they do this, that the liberals always try to pretend that they care. They try to stand out and say, hey, we're here. We understand affordability. How hard would it have been for Wayne to actually go to a supermarket and film either in the parking lot or in the store? And if they were going to stand in front of a green screen, how many MPs on the conservative end do you see taking meetings in their office via a webcam? How many MPs do you see willing to just sit down and talk to somebody in front of a backdrop in their office? Why did Wayne and the liberals have to try to set up this false image that, hey, we're in a grocery store. Hey, we care about your food. Hey, we care about your affordability. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day, folks. It's not like a huge corrupt deal, but it's still funny to laugh at that they expect the public to believe it, especially when you look at the media these days and green screen CGI and everything in our movies. It's very easy to spot these days. Again, if somebody comes up with some form of, hey, look, I told you so, he was actually there, I'll accept those terms. However, according to Grok and according to what it pointed out, it seems highly likely that the liberals, once again, are trying their movie magic to try and get you to buy into their rhetoric and propaganda. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think it's hilarious that not only can Wayne not talk about Connor McDavid properly, he calls him Connor McGregor, but now he's standing in front of green screens telling you he's in a supermarket? I think it's hilarious. Let me know your thoughts down below. Tell me what you think about Miss Gladu. And if we're going to see any charges come her way, highly unlikely, I think. But let me know your thoughts nonetheless down below. Join me live 3 times weekly on the channel, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Tomorrow night in the Forge, John Patriot Albertan will be here. Can't wait to talk to him about everything that he does out on the streets talking with Albertans. It's going to be a great show with myself and Mike. Join us every week, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and all 3 of our live shows. I look forward to seeing you there. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a little bit of a chuckle. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.